Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, we are back to changing lives.
Woo!
It's been a long couple weeks, but you're finally back with another episode or listening to another episode of the Rich by Monday podcast. I'm your host, Jared Wilkins,
And I'm Dorance Creighton.
and we back.
We back. It's been 2 weeks.
Something like it. The hell is this?
Dang.
Something like it. It's been something close to 2 weeks. Or no, it's only been a
Right.
week. Or maybe it has been. No, it's been a week because we put out the other episode midweek, and then we just missed the Monday. We put the episode out on Wednesday,
But
and
it should
then
have went out the Monday before, though. So
I
it's
know,
been
but
2 weeks.
that still counts.
Oh, for being out
That
on
week.
that week.
Yeah, like
Right. So we didn't miss a week.
Yeah, it's only been like a week.
Week absent. A week. Has it been a week with no episode?
Yeah, the week
Okay,
I was in
so 1
Louisiana. Yeah.
Okay, so it's 1 week. Okay.
So we put out the episode on that Wednesday. I flew out Wednesday.
Right. Okay.
And so we missed the Monday episode for the following week.
And then that whole week. And then the additional.
Nah, we putting it
Not
out
additional week, but the rest of the week.
the rest of the week, yeah. And so
Yeah.
now we putting out this week's episode, which was supposed to come out today.
We have a lot of angry listeners.
They probably
Like,
gave
hey,
up. It's like, I knew this wasn't gonna last.
I pay you to put out these episodes. Oh wait, they don't pay. I'm getting my money's worth.
Patreon members gonna be hot, but it's all
Right.
good. It's all good. You know, we back in the flow. You know, I had to go visit my family down in Louisiana. So
Yeah.
now we got that over with. And we back on schedule, you know, with episode 15. 15 weeks, man. 15 weeks.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I'm keeping like in increments of like 5. I track every episode as like a milestone. So
I'm just waiting to get to 30.
Yeah, that seems to be like
like halfway there.
Yeah, which is crazy. Like when you think about it, it's like we gotta do all this again. It's like
15 more times.
Yeah, like we started from zero tonight.
Like you ain't do nothing this whole time.
Yeah, it's over with. This is just the first quarter.
All right.
So, but yeah, it was cool, man.
How was Louisiana?
It was cool. It was cool to go down there and see family. Even though, like,
how long has it been since you've been back?
2015, so 6 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my grandfather. I went out there when it was my little cousin Jordan was getting married, and my grandfather was sick at the time, and he ended up passing while we were there. So we stayed a little bit longer for like the services and all that. That was like December. I think it was December 2015. So 6 years. Yeah. So it's been a while. You know what I mean? It's been a while, but our family is even though we're kind of far apart, our family is still like pretty close.
Yeah, that's good.
You know, so it was cool to be down there. We didn't get to see everybody because you know, we're visiting my family, and then also Vita's family is from the same area. So we had to kind of split time, try to split time.
Right.
And the rental car situation out there was crazy because everything's expensive. And
yeah, I heard that's nationwide. They have a rental shortage.
And it would have been even more expensive because we flew into New Orleans and then drove down there to Lafayette. So I was in Lafayette, Louisiana, which is it's like South Central Louisiana. So New Orleans is like 2 hours away, like San Diego from here.
Right.
So it would have been more expensive because we flew into New Orleans and we would have had to drop our car off in Lafayette.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So so one of my cousins just ended up letting letting my mom and them use a car.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's the benefits of having family.
Yeah, that's a good look.
um
That's why I say, like, if you can get your lodging, and like you can live with somebody for that time, like it really shortens up. It really saves you a lot of money.
Oh man, because we all went. Like our whole family went. Yeah. Like everybody, spouses included. Like everybody.
Right.
So if we had to pay for hotels or Airbnb, like that could have been crazy.
Yeah.
So
that's where you save.
Yeah. So I mean, maybe because we've always kind of traveled that way, I don't really see an issue, like a problem with that. But a lot of people do. Like a lot of people don't travel unless they have their own place to stay.
Right. Maybe they don't like their family. This is a call for you to go ahead and make it with your family so you can go on more trips.
Yeah, I mean,
save a little money.
To me, it makes sense. Like especially now, because we're all of us are grown and everybody has their own place. So when you go to like your aunt's house or whoever, like their house is empty.
Right.
There's no young kids. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? They got three bedroom homes and stuff. It's like, well, that means 2 of y'all can stay here.
Yeah, that's how it should be. You would think. Yeah, I don't know what's the fascination everybody having their own space.
I don't know. People just kind of take things. I guess they just take it too serious.
This
like
is mine.
Yeah,
this
I don't
stuff.
Whatever. Like I don't. We weren't raised that way, so maybe that's what it is. I think if you're raised in a situation where like it has to be that way for you, then maybe that's why it sticks with you. But growing up, we always went to Louisiana. They always came here, and they would always stay with us when they came. Like, what do we look like making them get a hotel? Like that don't even sound right. Like,
that's crazy.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't even try to figure that out. It's just a lot of people. I have heard people have differences in that, but I know if like even if it's one of my friends that came from out of state, and I had the means to accommodate them, I'd be like, you can stay here.
Right.
Like, what's the point of having friends?
like, if you can't stay at their house on vacation, you as a real friend.
Man, I don't know. So, but it was cool, man. They got the drive-through daiquiris and all that. So we was buying them by the gallon. They had one called
lit the whole time.
Man, my kidneys and everything was looking like raisins probably when I got home.
Right.
And so yeah, it was a lot of that, man. Just hanging out, with my uncle, outside, just hanging out with him, watching him cook, drinking beer, it's the country. But I would say the highlight of my trip was actually one of my little cousins, my little cousin Bailey, told me that she watches the podcast.
Okay.
So yeah, and so I thought that was dope. Yeah, shout out Bailey, that was dope. And because I don't be thinking that people, I know people watch, but I don't take myself that serious in terms of like I walk around like, yeah, I'm on a podcast. Like, so when someone's like, I watch your podcast, it's like, you do? Like,
I'm sure some people are listening to it or watching it, but
yeah. But that was definitely the highlight of the trip. So
yeah, that's
shout
cool.
out Bailey.
That's cool.
So what was going on, when I was gone?
It's nothing. Same old. What was I doing? Let's see. This is some property. Show some property. I think the biggest highlight was Duck had his 7th birthday party.
Happy birthday, Duck.
It was getting that together, organizing that, getting stuff because we had it at the house. He got like a jumper and a slide, and then we ordered food and cupcakes and stuff, and had like some of his friends from school or daycare come over, and some cousins and stuff. So it was like maybe like 35 people, maybe kids and parents. So it was a time. A lot of fun was had.
Yeah.
The kids had their things that they needed to have fun, and adults had theirs. So, and mine just happened to be tequila.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. Because
So
that's
cool.
definitely, that's definitely like it's crazy because for him to be 7, and I'm like, if I had a party today, I don't even know if there's 35 people I can invite.
Right. Right. I mean,
you know what I mean?
Usually just mostly family, because we had a whole week of family activities, really, which is it's good to get back to. Now that folks is vaccinated and they're more comfortable with going out, so it's good to get back to some type of normalcy, I guess. Yeah, it was cool. They had a ball. All the kids were like, oh, that's so fun. Like, this is cool.
I was in Louisiana, bro. Nobody wore a mask.
Oh yeah.
Nobody.
The South, they like,
like we went on Bourbon Street. It was like the jungle. Yeah. You know what I mean? It was like, yo, this is coming from here and then going there.
Yeah.
And it's like, yo, y'all live like normal, and we still kind of like not normal,
Right.
Which is funny because when I was there, I really didn't wear a mask unless we absolutely had to wherever we were at. But when I got home, I put one on for show. Like when I got home, I was like, nah, I ain't going nowhere. Like without, which is crazy.
Right.
Just crazy, but
it's like feel like the air is different.
Yeah.
I think the city's just different. You feel different in the city.
Nah, you do. It is different. Like I was telling you when we were on the phone that day, and I was like, I kind of feel like, I don't know if this will sound ignorant or not, but oh well. But I kind of feel like Louisiana for like Black Americans is like our Africa. Because the land is so full of resources and things that grow naturally there and things that you can only get there. And then all these other places in America kind of extract those resources,
right?
From this place. And so I kind of being down there, I kind of felt like like wow, this is really like the the motherland for Black folks,
right?
Like you'll go down there and
what's their major trade?
I would have to look into it, but I'm sure it would be something like rice fields. I don't know, like it would be something like on that level, like
sugarcane.
Yeah, probably sugarcane, honestly. Because there are some families that own like sugarcane fields and all that,
right?
And that's their wealth,
Right.
So
right.
Yeah, it's. I just felt like you go down there because you go down there and you see people that kind of look like you, right? And they and it's like you go down there and you see your template, basically, like where you come from. And even if your family's from other places, it's highly likely that they came through like Louisiana. They came through the Gulf. So even if you are from like a Mississippi or Alabama or something, it's likely that you probably have roots kind of taking you back to Louisiana.
Yeah.
Like, those seeds were planted along the way as the family traveled to wherever they traveled to.
Right.
But just going to the South in general, I think many of those places like, Mississippi, Alabama, parts of Texas and Louisiana, I feel like for us as Black Americans, that's like the closest we'll get to like the homeland,
Yeah.
so to speak. Because
Yeah, for
I
sure.
feel weird, you know, when you know, like when you know real Africans who are from Africa, like I feel weird saying I'm African. Like,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
it's
I'm like, we're nothing like you.
right, right.
Like, you know what I
It's
mean?
African lineage. I wouldn't
Yeah.
say like it's not like a country we can claim. When you're African American.
So, um, so I don't know why they hit me that hard that when I was down there this time, but it did for whatever reason. Um, and then just, you know, just the way people live and how appreciative everyone is of just like the normal things. You know, and then you come home and like out here it's just not, it's not the same. Like people hate each other. People, like people diss each other for, you know, they call you a bum even if you have a job. Think about that. You could have a job and be making like a decent, you could be making more money than the
Right.
person who would be calling you a bum. But in theory, you're a bum because you don't make
Yeah.
whatever they feel like you should make here.
Or if you're not in a certain industry, they feel
Yeah.
like you should be in. It's yeah, people judge you a lot in California.
Man, you know, yeah, it's just different. It's different. And I think that's something that's always kind of like stuck with me. Every time I go, I always come back just more like appreciative. Um, you know, just being able to see like where we came from, like where our family came from, what they had to overcome just for us to be normal in California. Just for us to have a normal life.
Right.
Not an extravagant life, nothing. Just how far they had to come for us to be normal. You know? And so yeah, that always kind of hits home with me every time I go.
Yeah. I think it's important to go back.
Mm-hmm.
I think the more you go back, I think you'll get different lessons. You'll get different lessons as you go back. I think originally, when you go back and you see how other people live, it's like, dang, I should be appreciative for what I have. And then if you continue to get the lesson, you'll realize that the people what they have is enough. And I think the deeper lesson is um, what you have is enough, no matter where you are. So I think as we continue to you know, just be a more grateful and appreciative of wherever you are, no matter where it is. Like appreciative of the now, like this moment, more so than the stuff and things we're trying to attain. Being thankful for the moment, and I think that's what I get from like a lot of like country living. People like they just appreciate the moment, you know.
Yeah.
They appreciate what they have, and it's just like it's they're not living at a loss. You know, it's I'm okay with this. You know, they don't feel like they lack. That's what it is. They
Yeah.
don't feel like they
Yeah.
lack. Where
Yeah.
someone else can look at them and say, "Oh, you're lacking," and um, but they're not. They're not lacking at all. In many cases, but we're the ones that's lacking because
Yeah.
we're going so
That's
hard of what we always feel like something else is going to make us feel more successful. So it's some good lessons to get, you know, to get from the country.
yeah, man. It was a lot of that. It was all of that. All of that ultimately. And I think being away from it for so long, being away from like your family and um just that environment, you know, just being away from it for so long, I think you know, you kind of forget. You lose sight of that by
Right.
trying to be what you think you need to be.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? And it makes you overlook like who you already are.
Right.
to the
Right.
people who actually care about you.
Yeah. Then you're beating yourself up. Like, I'm not at this level. I'm not doing this.
Because
It's
you know
like,
me, I'm like, I don't have $100 million yet.
yeah.
And like it's like I
That's
need
right.
it. I
It's
need
like,
my
I'm
100
nothing
million.
without these things. And then everybody
Yeah,
else is
so
like, you're not your things. You're not your stuff.
yeah.
That's when you get down to the good stuff. When
Yeah.
you have no stuff and you figure out who you are.
That's what I be saying, man. I just want
That's
to be
the
cool
hard
enough.
part.
I want to be cool enough just to shop at Costco.
Right.
Because if I can be cool enough within myself to go buy Kirkland denim, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
You know, in Kirkland polo shirts or whatever, and tuck them in with a Kirkland belt. You know, if I'm who I am,
Right.
you know, it shouldn't matter. Like what I have on
Yeah.
shouldn't, you know, it shouldn't matter.
No.
So
Mm-mm.
I've slowly been I've never been like I'm familiar with like fashion and into certain elements of fashion, but I've never been like big on having like designer clothes or
Right.
um you know, clothes. Like shoes are different. I was always into shoes, but I've never
Mm-hmm.
really been big into like just certain looks with clothes as long as everything is clean.
Right.
So I would pay for quality denim, but the one thing that I have a hard time paying for is a shirt, like a
Right.
t-shirt.
Right. Yeah.
I'll pay for a collared shirt if it's made of certain materials, it's handmade, or
Mm-hmm.
you know, certain things exist. But like a t-shirt, I'm not paying like $1,000 for a Balenciaga t-shirt. Like it's
Right. Yeah. It just does not compute.
yeah, it's not gonna happen. So, but I'll go to Target and just go buy an $8 shirt. Like
Mm-hmm.
you know, if I need a t-shirt, I just go buy an $8 graphic tee. It serves the same
Right.
purpose. So
Mm-hmm.
slowly I've been kind of, I don't say slowly, but that's something I've been doing anyway. So I'm trying to
Right.
work my way
Right.
back to, okay, I'm getting there with the shirts. I'm almost there, but I'm getting there with the
Right.
shirts of like, I can go buy a shirt from, you know, from where denim might be
Right.
kind of hard because I do like
Yeah.
quality denim.
Mm-hmm.
But even with all that, man, you can still wear a Rolex.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's about, buying the things you like. I think we get caught up in buying things that we don't
Yeah.
like in order
Mm-hmm.
to like have a certain perception. It's like I asked on a Facebook maybe last week sometime, like, what car, if you were just out in the streets and you seen a car pull up, what car would impress you? Just to
Oh
kind
yeah,
of
I
get
seen
like
that.
a feel for
Yeah.
what you think, what like the general public think.
First
And
of all, not to cut you off, but when I read those comments, I was like, I'm definitely not impressing anybody based
yeah.
on these comments.
Right. I'm like, I'm not either. I'm just
And my
like,
car is new, okay? Like,
they're just like, no one's gonna name my car. Which is normal. Well, yeah, but anyways. Um, so basically the response, the most of the response was basically, what you would consider like a luxury car, Mercedes,
mm-hmm,
BMW, Lexus, Audi, Tesla, those type of cars.
mm-hmm.
Basically any car that was basically 100,000 or more, like $1,000 payment,
Yeah.
people really respect or consider prestigious or impressed. And then you had some people who kind of took the philosophical route of, it's not about the car. And I get that. I live by a lot of those tenements or whatever you want to call them.
Mm-hmm.
But when you see a certain car pull up, there's a certain part of you that is impressed. I don't care
Mm-hmm.
which, if you just you're impressed immediately, and then your second thought is, well, I don't know how that person really lives. I don't know if they live in a shoebox, and this is the only
Mm-hmm.
$1,000 they have, and they only paying it. That's second thought, but your first thought is, I'm impressed by this car, and I was just trying to figure out what that car is.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I seen a few of them. I seen a few
yeah,
like uh um there was, I think it was JB who just went all out and was like, yeah, Bentley coupe, Rolls
right,
Royce. I'm like,
yeah,
yo, man, like that's like 10 people in every city. Like, relax.
yeah. That's a different level of wealth. It's not the
Yeah.
everyday luxury car driver. But anyway, that's fit me down like actually looking at different luxury SUVs and just getting back to like buying things you like. I wasn't impressed. I wasn't impressed with the cars.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, these are just like practical everyday cars. It can easily be uh a Nissan, a Kia, a Toyota, uh, um people consider lower tier brands are not luxury brands. I'm like, the car looks the same. There's nothing special about it. It's only the badging is going to give you a certain prestige or prestige in the
Mm-hmm.
in the eyes of other people. And I was like, I started looking at SUVs, like bigger SUVs, like, and I was really impressed with the new Tahoe, actually, the Chevy Tahoe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are
Like,
real nice.
it looked nice. And
Those are real
I think you
nice.
just get back to trying to like, okay, let me look at some luxury vehicles and see what it looks like. And I'm like, I'm not impressed with that.
Yeah,
And
you
then
gotta
you get
work your
back
way
to the
back.
utility of like,
Mm-hmm.
well, this is what I really need. This is a full truck with a full third row seat. Because a lot of luxury SUV, they have like a third row seat, but it's like it's like for kids, really.
Yes,
It's like for
it's
babies.
like a
Only
jump
babies can
seat.
sit back
Like,
there. Yeah. Like, these 7-year-olds can sit back there.
yeah.
Actually, they can't even because they still need a car seat. But
Mm-hmm.
anyways, yeah, you just start working your way back to what you really like, and not if you just don't focus on just the price of it or the prestige of it or perception of whatever you're purchasing, and get back to like what's going to work for me. Um, I think that's the cleanest way to really focus on what you really want in life,
I
and that's
mean,
just the example of a car. But
I think it. I think ultimately, I think it all just boils down to taste. I think
yeah,
if you can give people a sense of taste, like you know what I'm saying, you understand what it is you're doing, and you arrived at
mm-hmm,
that point for a specific reason, and it looks nice. I don't think it really matters. I won't say it doesn't matter, but I don't think it matters as much in
mm-hmm,
terms of like when it comes to cars and stuff like
yeah,
perception. I don't think it matters as much because 9 times out of 10, the person you're pulling up on, they won't know what they wouldn't even know what to be impressed by. It's all just
yeah,
aesthetics.
right,
So
right,
if you can just look, tasteful with the
mm-hmm.
car that you chose and whatnot, because I'm gonna drive a Kia regardless. I like Kia.
I like their SUV. That what is it called? The
The bigger one is
sorry
the
E.
Telluride.
Telluride. Know what it is?
Yeah, that's the bigger one.
Yeah, that one looks
So
good too.
that's the one that's selling like crazy. Like it wouldn't be selling like crazy if people didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I've literally seen, I think we talked about it on the pod, but I've literally seen people trade in their Range Rovers for that car,
Right, right.
and it's 100,000 less.
I do like. I wasn't impressed with Range Rover, but I do like the Audi A8. That was nice.
Yeah, those are nice.
Those are nice. I don't
Yeah,
like the A7. The A7 looks like something you get for the lady. I don't know. I think it was the back. The back kind of
because it
like fell
slants.
apart. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
those are
looks more
nice.
like a
Those are
wagon.
nice. Even their SUV, the Q8. Like I like the Q8 more than I like the counterparts because the
Yeah,
Q8 is the platform for the
yeah.
Lambo
That's what
truck.
it is. It's the Q8. Yeah,
Yeah, the
it's not
Q8
the
and
A8. Q8.
it's the platform, the foundation of the Lambo truck and the Bentley truck, and I think Volkswagen too. I can't remember, but I like their version more. I don't know why. I just do.
Yeah,
I like the Audi truck more, but
yeah. It's nice.
and that's also $150,000 less than the Lambo truck,
Right.
even though it's the same thing. But
Mm-hmm.
yes, I think it all comes down to taste. Like it doesn't matter if I'm seasoned enough and well into a period in my life where if I had $100 million or $100,000, whatever it is, I'm driving a Kia as my everyday driver
Yeah.
because that's the car that I would like to be in. I like the way it looks. I like what they offer as a brand in terms of quality and value,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's where I'm gonna spend my money.
Yeah. And I think I know I'm not bullshitting myself too because I think last time I was mentioning that every 3 years, I'll get some new clothes once they, wear out. And I have some Cole Haan shoes that I just wore. It's kind of like my work shoes. I've always kind of thrown them as my black shoes.
The blacks.
You don't know, let's go give me some black shoes, the blacks. And they kind of wore out. And I went back looking for that same pair. But the brand they kind of had a refresh, but it's basically the same shoe. And I was like, I went in with my blacks on, and I was like, I want some of these. Can you do you have the replacement for these? And he was like, oh yes, the refresh is here. They did the X, Y, and Z. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm looking at different. I'm like, well, I kind of like this one. This has like the toe cap. The new one doesn't have toe. I was like, okay, whatever. I'm gonna just put it on. But I was like, okay, it looks good on. I'm like, I'm gonna wear these out like I was a kid. Put my blacks in the new box and walked out with the new ones.
Funny.
But it's just like, I think I'm really at a level where, at a time in my life where I just want to replace the things that I know worked for me. And when the time comes for replacement, I'll get that same thing. Because it worked for me. So why would I change it? Like it worked. It worked that whole time. I just need to replace it.
There's so many other decisions that we have to make that matter about real shit. I don't want to be sitting around thinking about what shirt I get. I know what shirt I like. Like, I'm gonna buy another one of those.
Right.
Like I know what jeans I like. I know what shirt I like. I know what shoes I like. I'm gonna buy more of those. I'm gonna have 10 pair of those over the next 20 years because that's what I like.
Right. Yeah.
I don't care if it's not new. Like, man, I'll buy shoes. It's the same thing. I'll buy shoes. I mean, I used to buy shoes all the time, but now I'll buy shoes that are like years old, but I've been wanting them this whole time. But like, I can't get them until they're at my price range.
Right.
Yeah. I could always buy them brand new, but I don't want to. It's like, why would I do that?
When it goes down. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I'll just wait. And then you end up buying stuff for like $20.
Yeah.
It's
like the hype is over and I'm catching the sale.
Yeah, I'm on that. I'm on all that. Like I said, there's too much. There's too much other real shit you got to make decisions about to be sitting here contemplating like how you gonna reinvent yourself every time a new trend comes out or a new brand. And if you like that, don't get me wrong, like that's cool, but you definitely get to a point where it's like, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna spend brain time on that. So we back. Had to take a quick break, but
you're talking about being practical.
Yeah, I don't even remember what we was talking about though.
Basically, but you're purchasing or buying things based on taste and what you like.
Based on taste. What's funny? I don't know. I'm thinking it might be a thing for me. I think this might be a thing, but Volvo has like a wagon. And I seen one the other day when I was in Playa Vista, and I seen one at the park, and it was like a pearl white, but you could tell they put like a satin wrap on it, so it was like flat white, and it had black wheels, and it was tinted out, and I was like, I like that.
Because you like a wagon. I like wagons.
Man, I'm like,
you can load all this lumber in here with no problem.
I used to have the, I used to have the Magnum, So I used to have the Magnum, which was a wagon. And then Audi has a wagon that I really, really like. So, and this year was the first year it was available in the States.
Oh yeah, it was like available in Europe.
It's only available in Europe, yeah.
But they don't have the diesel version, I don't think.
Nah,
here.
But I've always liked that car. So now it's available here, but they're still selling at a premium because everybody wants one.
All right.
That would probably be the only car that I would just pay for. Like if it was like, I need an everyday car, it didn't matter what I was paying for it, that'd probably be the one that I would just say, all right, just make 120 grand, here it is.
Right.
But
Volvo, it's just based on what you want.
Yeah. Because I know I would just drive it, and it wouldn't really be a thing about, it would check all the boxes. Like it's a car, it's faster than whatever car you're driving probably. It just doesn't look like it because it's a wagon, which I like because I like being understated, right? So It has everything, bro. It's all of it. It's everything. So yeah. So Volvo has the wagon, and I was looking at it, and I was like, man, I kind of like that, man. I'm like, I don't really know much about the brand, but I'm gonna look into it because it was nice.
And now I'm really looking at lease options. Like, who has the best lease? Lease
It's
terms.
tough right now. It's tough right now, man. They
don't have enough cars.
Well, and the manufacturers aren't really giving like the dealers any rebates because they don't have to. So you might have been able to 6 months ago. You could have walked in and got $10,000 cash back. Now it's like, you're paying $8,000 over sticker.
Right.
So there's still certain deals on certain cars, but yeah, it's rough right now. But I
don't mind waiting though either. I'm in no rush.
Where am I going?
I have cars that run, they drive and run, they run and drive.
Where am I going? Like it's we ain't going nowhere. But one thing I wanted to talk about though was this week has been like, at least just the past like 5 days. I wouldn't say 5. The last like 3 days has been like a really sorry ass couple of days, because there's been a bunch of people like doing apology videos.
Like who?
Well, social media guys who work in certain industries. One of them is actually a watch dealer. So there's a company in Dallas. I'm not gonna say their name.
Well, the apologies are for what? To avoid cancel culture?
I don't know what it's for, to be honest, because you can't really cancel them, but they obviously did something that required an apology. So I guess it's just their version of like being accountable. But there's a broker, a watch dealer in Dallas, and they have a YouTube channel, and they got really, really popular on YouTube. And the guys are pretty young, and they have some pretty impressive like watches in their collection. And they try to be very like transparent in what they do. And I think I remember sending them to you guys and saying like, I don't know how they make money, because they're basically only selling watches for like a $500 or $1,000 premium.
Okay.
Like that's their margins on every watch they sell, right? So sometimes it's like, it's just like how you'd have to move a lot of watches to be able to afford a full staff that's there full time, and a location, and then expand to another location, everything, right? Because you're only making $500 to $1,000 a pop on every watch. So if you've got expenses that total up to 40, 50 grand a month, and that means you'd have to sell at least 50 pieces at $1,000 a pop. But I just don't think that's sustainable on certain pieces. I think, especially when you see them kind of selling things at cost, or like taking things for personal use. Because they've both said like, I got into this to have access to all the special watches. Right. So they're kind of building out their personal collections. And again, they have some pretty impressive watches. You got to have a nice bankroll to be able to just go buy stuff that costs $100,000, $200,000, $300,000.
So what are they apologizing for?
So they did some kind of, I don't know what they did. There's ideas of what's going on, but according to them, they came up with an idea to black out their business for like a week.
Blackout?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they didn't answer the phones. They cut off the numbers. They cut all the lights off in their store. They took down the sign. Like they deactivated Instagram, the whole nine.
Okay.
So their explanation was, we get so many trolls about how we're scammers and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's show them what happens if we were actually scammers and just disappear. Mm-hmm. And so this is in the middle of transactions, though. Right. So this is what they're saying. They're saying that they decided to
so like, who are you punishing?
You
decided to punish the trolls by punishing their clients.
So they did that for a week, and then so now they come out with this apology video. Like, oh, I'm sorry, we messed up. It was a huge mistake. All that kind of stuff. And the dealer community is very upset. You know, because some of these guys have been doing this for decades. Mm-hmm. And so they kind of know who's who and who's, you know, because they've been around.
Right.
And so to see some new guys come in, get embraced, and then kind of pull a stunt like that after everybody kind of co-signed them, you know, they're kind of upset. So they put out a whole apology video, and then I seen a CPA react to like their business model, and he pointed out all the things they got wrong. And so one thing that was really funny that I actually caught in the video before, but I didn't remember it until he said it, was that because their videos would be like an hour long, like an hour and a half, 2 hours long. Right. And he was on the phone with like his CPA or something, going through the numbers for staffing. And he was telling them like they're short on some numbers for tax purposes for their employees. Because of course, as an employer, you pay half. When it comes to payroll tax, the employer pays 7.5%, and the employee pays 7.5% to cover, you know, payroll tax. So so he's like, no, they take their taxes out of their out of their checks. And he's like, no, like that's not how it works. Like you
They're
have to pay
missing their half.
Right. Yeah. So he was like, oh. So this happened on camera, right? So so the thought is that something greater
uploaded it.
Yeah. The thought is that something greater happened, and that was their way to kind of like cover it up. But but he made this sorry apology video about whatever. And one of the guys was like, you know, it's hard to feel sorry for someone who wears a Richard Mille. You know, who wears a $300,000 watch.
Right.
You know,
I don't know. Maybe the internet is just full of stunts.
Well, the guy came out and said that he had a desire. I think that's what I was getting to before I start rambling. He let his desire to become known and insta famous get in the way of actually doing business. And
it's like, hold on, this is working, and we forgot we got to do work.
I still think that's not the full story, but I do think that's part of it. Because I think what happens is, if you've never been someone who's been like, you know, I don't want to say popular, but you've just never been someone who's like known or seen as, you know, a person of influence of some sort. If you've never had that kind of social capital, in a sense,
right?
Once you get to that point, if you aren't like emotionally, you know, stable enough, you become overconfident and think that, you know, you're just the new shit.
Right.
And I think that's what happens. I think guys like that just get overconfident and think like, you know, we're the best in town, even though there's been guys who've been doing it since they've been born. And they just do something crazy and it just ruins everything they work for, because now nobody wants to do business with them.
Yeah, that's weird.
Why would I do business with you if we were in the middle of a wire and you just stop answering the phone?
Yeah.
For an Instagram joke. Like,
right.
You know,
to get back at the trolls, and you start trolling your own clients.
So that was one instance. I won't get into all of them, but that was one that for sure I thought was kind of strange. The other one was you know, a famous guy who's known for like credit, I guess, or something like that. Or he's a financial strategist, as he calls himself. and he got caught up by
That's a made up term.
openly telling people to commit bank fraud. And somebody caught it and made a video about it. And initially he was like, they're just haters. The haters are going to say it's fraud. It's not fraud, blah, blah, blah. And then ultimately he came behind it, and he didn't apologize. He just said he needs to be more mindful of what he says.
I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
So, but he, it's and people reacted to that in a way where, which is actually surprising, but it lets you know, like, his demographic is people who are a lot younger than us,
mm-hmm.
and probably in situations where they have ambitions that are more, they have larger ambitions than they do like resources. So, because I think ultimately that's what happens in these environments. I think you have a situation where you have, like, middle income, working class industry professionals, and then you have like people who have high aspirations, but in their mind feel like they lack, the resources to fulfill those.
It's a lot of that.
And so when things get popular over here, it kind of bleeds over into, like working class industry professionals, and then they have to be like, well, let me take a look at that because I'm seeing a lot more of it, and then it exposes it for what it actually is. And in that sense, it was bank fraud. And the funny thing is that I remember, like, 10 years ago, I'm not going to say his name because this will implicate him. I remember 10 years ago, a friend of ours came to me and said, hey, man, I know this guy, he has an account with Navy Federal. And what he can do is he can sponsor you for an account. He charges a fee, right? I think it was like $2,000 or something. He charges a fee. He'll sponsor you for an account because you can only get a membership with them if you know somebody.
Right. If you're family, military, veteran.
And there's workarounds. I don't know what they are completely, but I do know there's workarounds. So he's like, he'll charge you a fee, and then if you have good credit, 700 plus, you can go get an auto loan from them, and then just hold it, and it becomes a personal loan. And then you can use that money to do whatever it is that you want to do. At the time, it was because we were being introduced to, it was probably like 10 years ago. We were being introduced to, different real estate deals and stuff. So that was like a way to get funding, which is how it was presented to me, at least.
Right.
But even then, in that moment, I knew, like, this is not something you advertise. Like, this is a gray area. This is something, if you're going to do it, you just do it. You don't, because that's bank fraud.
Right.
You're lying on an application to get money. That's fraud. So this guy comes out and decides to tell people to do this on TV. And
it's the play.
And was shocked that people were like, yo, this is fraud. And he was shocked, like, no, it's not. Like, yes, it is. Like, if you told somebody to, like, the act of doing it isn't fraud because it says that in your loan documents, that if you don't deliver the title in so many days, it can potentially become a personal loan at a higher interest rate.
Right.
But telling people to lie to the bank to get the money is fraud.
Right. Because you're not using it with the original intent.
Exactly.
It was purpose for.
And and then he went and followed it up with, take that money and invest in Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Yeah.
So now that's money laundering, right?
Yeah,
so you went from bank fraud, you went from bank fraud straight to money laundering.
Right.
So it was a lot of that, and he didn't back off of what he said. He just tried to clean it up and say, I need to be more mindful. But
so I think that the main thing is is what you said. People with no resources and a whole lot of ambition think that if they have the money, all their ambitions will come true.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just sad that we don't have the outcome of a lot of people who are running these plays who are just getting in debt, filing bankruptcy, and like, oh, it didn't work,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And usually they're blaming themselves for it not working. And in most cases, they're either blaming, well, I don't know who they're blaming, but they usually don't consider that they didn't have an actual business plan. It was
Mm-hmm.
just, if I have the money, it'll just work out. It'll just work itself out. And that's just not how business is done.
Yeah.
It doesn't just, you don't, the money, in most cases, the money doesn't help. The reason why businesses fail because you don't have enough clientele. You don't have enough clientele or you don't sell enough product. That's it. That's it.
I mean, I guess that would be ultimately the same because you would have clientele if you were selling product.
Exactly.
So you know what I mean. But again, if you're in the business of no product, then what? How would it ever work out?
Well, I think
Like,
the game is now is I just need money to run ads. If I had the money to run ads, I would get people to click, get more clicks, and then more conversions, and I'll make more money.
mm-hmm.
Maybe that's the game now. It's not about a business plan. Maybe it's
Well,
just advertising. Many
that is
clicks
the
as you can
game.
get.
That is the game because from my understanding, part of the program is to get you the money so that you can buy the course, so that you can do the things that he tells you to do. There's other things that he said that was I picked up on it really early. And we've kind of talked about it here. I made a couple jokes about him like spinning Louis boxes on his head and stuff.
Right.
But I caught it really early in one episode that he said because he's on a another popular platform that people respect. And this brings me to that point that I can't wait to tell these people no. If we ever get to the point where they say I want you on the show, and I'm like, I'm not going on your show.
Well, see, it's going to come out that people are just paying to be on that show.
It's already out. The information has been presented. There's videos on it now. Everybody already knew that. Like these are advertisements, but it's illegal to have an advertisement and not let the people know it's an advertisement.
Right. Like
Like
this, I'm
payola is
advertising
illegal.
my business. Right.
Yeah, it's illegal to do that. You can't bring someone on like it's an organic relationship only for it to be a structured advertisement. You can't do that.
Mm. Well, there we go.
So but that's what they do. So it's already been
Pay to play.
that's already been outed. Yeah, that's already been, which is, if you know, if you're familiar with certain things and
Yeah,
you
I
wonder
can see
why,
that.
like,
I've seen the
yeah,
model, like based on how many different people are on there, and it seemed like everyone just popped up with "This is what I'm doing." I'm like, okay, I know what this is.
yeah, it's another form of
They're paying to get
advertisement.
on the ad, yeah, to pitch their products.
At least with an advertorial, like if you go and pay Forbes or Yahoo to, you can have an
To write a
ad
story.
created. Yeah, you can have
Mm-hmm.
an ad created with their markings on it and stuff, so you can promote it. You know what I mean? Like, I was in Forbes, and you can
Yeah.
get an advertorial, and it'll say on there that this is an advertisement in in a very nondescript way, to where people can't
Even that is just so
tell.
weird. The people promote it as if Forbes reached out to them. No, we need to write a story on you. It's like, no, I just paid.
Because it's
I
all
paid to have a Forbes
advertisements.
logo.
It's a source of income for Forbes. Like, think about how many people pay them just to get I was in Forbes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, obviously it works.
If I had a brand like that,
That's a social proof.
exactly. That's all it comes down to. And so yeah, so it's that's already out. Like, he was on his other platform, and they got included in this situation, and then so the guy who outed it got a cease and desist letter from that platform, and it was a whole mess. It was funny, but
It was funny.
it was funny because, like, the cease and desist letter they had typos in it, and it was like, what? Like, this has to be a joke.
Yeah.
But it lets you know, like, you know it's all for many people. Again, people whose aspirations are greater than their resources, the resource pool. For them, they really focus on the outcome of things. And so if you can present them with the outcome they like, everything else doesn't matter. But I just feel like, man, you really have to be careful of people who you take advice from. If they're selling it, if someone's selling advice and they don't have a license, like, you have to be very, very cautious, because they don't have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Like, if you go out and tell somebody, hey man, go do a stated loan, and lie as your income, the bank will give you the money. Right. And then it'll work. Right. And so you'll look like a genius. But then what happens when the bank decides to send them a 4506T? Because those are real.
Really verify your income.
Right. I had American Express send me a 4506T. This is a credit card company, because we were when I first got my Amex a couple of years ago, they were I had put Vita down as an authorized user. And her company at the time didn't have company cards, so they would make you use your personal card and reimburse you. So she was like, the Amex has no limit.
Right.
So she was like, well, if I'm gonna spend the money, I'm gonna get the points. So we would charge the Amex, right, for our personal stuff, and then theirs. And so it was like 2 months where we charged it, and we paid it right away, like within like a week. So after doing that like twice, they sent me a 4506T.
Who American Express?
Yeah.
And it's like, yo.
Yeah, because it's like, yo, this activity doesn't seem like it fits what you said you make. Yeah. So it's another way for them to call me poor, basically.
Yeah.
But
like, we're gonna look into this.
Yeah, because it wasn't a lot. Like, it wasn't. It was only like 2,000 and 3,000 at a time. And I guess because we paid it off so quickly, it was like, they sent me a 4506T, and I had to verify my income, tax returns, the whole nine.
Yeah.
Right. So
not playing.
Man. And so I'm like, with all this business credit stuff and all that kind of stuff, like, when you get in trouble, that's the first thing that's gonna happen. Like, if
they want to see receipts.
Yeah, the first thing that's going to happen is they're going to look for a 4506T to, they want to verify your income. If you can't verify your income, now you might have some charges because you lied.
I don't think anyone thinks about repercussions at all, and they're not on the internet.
Yeah,
like when the house of cards fall, like no one posts that on the internet. It has to be dug up.
And what's funny is I remember we talked about like the whole business credit thing before, and I'm not sure if we brought it up, like if the what would happen, because everybody's like, get your credit, go get some business credit. They're doing manufactured spending, right? So they're spending in a way to help build your credit faster to go get more money. And I don't know if we brought it up, but it's like, what would happen if the bank just closed your line one day?
Yeah.
And you had a balance. Yeah. Well, it just happened. Because Wells Fargo just closed all personal accounts, all personal lines of credit.
Yeah, that's so crazy. It's like, you out here trying to run a play, go get credit cards and spend it on Bitcoin, start your Toro business. And all of a sudden they just cut it off. That's why, like, credit, you don't want to ever be highly over leveraged on credit just for those reasons. Because when a bill is due and you don't have it, that's when it's all bad. I feel like if you don't have the amount of your credit card limit in cash, you shouldn't be using it. That's just for me.
If it's,
like, if
I
you
feel
don't
like
have it, you shouldn't be using it.
It depends on the situation. Like, if you're actually using it, if you're using the credit for, for like investment purposes or anything like that, that's different. Now, when I say investment purposes, I don't mean going to buy Bitcoin and whatever. I mean, if you have if you have enough credit to where you could potentially leverage that into like a down payment somewhere or something like that, or to put in some form of arbitrage play, that's different. Like
That
if
still
I
has
know
to
I
be
can get,
very short term. I mean, it's like giving yourself a bridge loan at a very
yeah,
high interest rate.
but if the money, that's what I'm saying. If the money is, but even then, even in that scenario, we're talking about a very, very slim margin of people
Yeah, almost
who
zero people should be doing that.
who have, like, you know, probably hundreds of thousands of dollars in credit, in lines of credit, either through, you know, their business or just personal lines, where it's like 1-2% or even 0%, and they can go and get 5% somewhere in an index fund or something. Like, it's, you know, so that if the money is cheap enough, then you'll use it, but you have to be savvy enough to even know how to do that. That's not everyone. Everyone who's getting access to this stuff isn't savvy enough to understand, like, the only way you'll dig yourself out of this hole is to get even worse loans where you have to pay weekly or even daily for your business to get out of that hole.
Yeah,
Like, and stay afloat.
99.9% of people shouldn't be doing that at all. At all. I
So
don't think
that's the
people always think
that's the
they can be
play.
the 0.1% a person who's not going to get caught up.
Yeah. And the comments, I like reading the comments on things like that because it's always funny. And that's actually what made me arrive at that point, because the guy who was kind of talking through how it's bank fraud, and he's an accountant, and he's kind of talking through, you know, what would make this look like bank fraud, to, you know, or why it is bank fraud to talk about it in this way.
Right.
And the comments are all like, "Oh, you just mad because he got a bunch of money in a jet, and you got all these degrees, and you don't have a jet. Like, why would I listen to you? You don't have a jet." And I'm like what? That's what it is. Like, that's what this comes down to.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized, like, these are obviously teenagers. Like, these aren't functioning adults. This is obviously kids who want to sit there and say college is a scam, or whatever, and they look to the things, you know, or just old people who act like kids, who still have the mindset of a child, like, that you need things to be able to do well
show
for
your
yourself.
worth.
Or,
You have to have
but, you
more
know,
things to show your worth.
it was all that, and the whole why do we do, it's only us that do this to each other, and we have no unity, and even that is false. Like, this whole concept that we don't, like, black folks specifically, don't have unity, or we're always tearing each other down. Like, first of all, if we're all a part of the same community and something hits our community, we're going to feel it because we're all a part of the community. It's not because we only talk about black stuff. It's because we're black. And all we know is black people. Like, so we're going to catch wind of it. Like, I don't believe in that whole, like, we don't have unity thing. I think there's no unity amongst the impoverished, right? Because everyone's trying to come out. Everyone's trying to come up. So, of course, one person, you know, I feel like that's more tied to social economic, like, conditions than race. Like, I feel like that exists amongst people who live at or near or below the poverty line.
Yeah.
You know,
that where they're upset that you outed somebody else from scamming.
Yeah.
Because it's like, hey, we're all just trying to make it out. It's like, well, no, we're all not out just scamming, trying to make it out.
Yeah.
There's a large population of people who are actually trying to extract real dollars without scamming the community they're from. Mainly,
Man.
you know, that's the biggest thing. If you have a professional that says, hey, this guy is scamming us, this guy, girl is scamming our community, it's just weird that person's never championed um, um, as loudly as they should be, I think. Because most people who know right from wrong, they're like, yeah, I'm glad you called that out. But those people aren't loud as the people. It's like, you shouldn't have said anything because we all coming up. That group of people.
Well, because they think you're trying to stop them from coming up, when really you're just trying to stop them from going to jail. But in their mind, jail isn't really. In their mind, it's like I don't have anything anyway. What's jail?
Right. It's like that's always a possibility. If I do something else, I could go to jail. So it's like, yeah, it's the whole. At least I'm not robbing you.
Yeah, like they're like, oh, the bank's been robbing us for however many years, or this group of people does it. Nobody cares. Like, yes, they do. Like, what do you think? The CIA, the NSA, the FBI, the DEA, all the alphabet boys. Why do you think they exist? You think they exist because of us?
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean? Like, just because somebody told on your friend, like, so they just created all these organizations to come get your friend because he was black.
SEC's like, oh yeah, we're gonna create this for black folks. Like, no,
yeah, come on, man.
It's because other communities they've been scamming their own communities.
This. Yeah, like
they've been scamming their own communities and they get called out for it. I think somebody said
stuff. I be seeing that, man. It just makes me laugh.
Yeah, I mean it's false. That's false. That's just completely false. It happens in all communities, but we're just not part of those communities. I'm sure there's people that just calling out, Joe Blow for trying to pull some different scam.
Bro, have you not seen American Greed?
Yeah, American Greed, huge. Bernie Madoff. It's like they've been scamming their communities too. So yeah, that's false.
I think that's just some, like I said, that exists at the poverty line. And the poverty line could be mental.
Yeah. We all just trying to make it out. Doing what we can.
That's why I like Dame Dash. Like I like some of the points that he makes, but I disagree with the way he tries to deliver his message.
In what way?
Because it's like hyper, it's like hyper. That's how we're in 2021. There's words for it. It's like hyper entrepreneurship, right? Like, you're not a man if you don't have a business and all that kind of stuff. And you see all these guys who grew up with Wi-Fi and drinking coffee in the morning. They idolize Dame. Not realizing Dame sold crack.
Yeah.
Dame is telling you're not a man because you have a job. But he sold crack.
Yeah. To the community.
Yeah, he's single-handedly responsible. Like he's a participant in something that destroyed everything that people were working on in a very specific point in time. He is partly responsible for that, and he's championed
in a very successful decade, all the way from the 60s and the 70s. Like it was cracking.
So
and then the 80s crack came.
Yeah. So I'm like, I don't care if you. This is my thing. Nobody's perfect. I'm not saying like you should just be. He shouldn't be, or his opinion isn't valid because of where he came from. My thing is like with anybody, right? You can't shit on me from a street light and call it a mountaintop. Right? Like you're telling me I'm not a man, or whoever is not a man, or whatever you were saying, because they went and got a job and you were outside, right? And then you'll say, well, why don't you just leave and go do your own thing? Well, why don't you just leave and not sell crack? If it's that simple, if it's so simple to just up and leave to go be a man somewhere, but people never acknowledge that. Like, it's okay to spread that message without shitting on somebody.
Yeah.
Like, why you got to shit on somebody when you was selling crack? Like, we laugh at you. And it was probably by choice. I think, in my opinion, there's very few people in this world who have to live by those standards.
Yeah.
And
no, there's other options. That was the fast option.
And they were kids. I understand they were kids and how alluring that is, but but if you look at people in if you look at the indigenous people who were here in California, right? Not just Native Americans, which is a funny name, Native Americans,
right?
But south of the border, right? South of the border. If you look at these people, who are here and working and doing whatever. Like there was kids I went to school with who had jobs that had to that had to like contribute to the house or take care of the house.
Yeah.
And so you're calling that person, you're saying that person's not a man because they didn't sell crack.
Or start a business, or
like
you seen that video? Seen a video recently of it was a guy, he was taping. I guess they was out maybe like taking pictures of their cars by a train, and these two guys just got off the train, and it was like, hey, these two guys just got off the train and asked where they were, and he was like, yeah, you're in America. He was in L.A. He's like, oh, okay, good. And then the guy interviewing, he's like, where'd you come from? He's like, Honduras. He's like, hey, welcome. You made it to America. I was like, this is wild. But that person is most likely going to go immediately into the job force. And it took them so much to get here. So much, like so much effort just to get here. And to look at that person and say, all right, yeah, you're not a man. It's like, you know what I went through just to get here?
That's weird to me.
Just to get here?
That shit is weird to me. And I like a lot of what Dame talks about. I just don't like that.
Yeah.
And he don't care. Like he shouldn't care. I ain't nobody. It's just the point. Like when when you see it kind of, passed on and shared by certain people who were trying to sell you things. And they share that sentiment. And I'm like, how could you? Because you don't sell crack. And well, I don't know if you do, you might. But if you never did, how could you champion this man simply because his narrative goes in line with your product?
Yeah. Right.
Maybe
it's just a sound bite. They want to use the sound bite to sell whatever they're selling.
And that shit is weak, man. That's why I won't be friends with nobody, bro. I'm telling you, I can't wait. I can't wait to just tell everybody no, because like I don't want to know you. I don't want to be your friend. I don't want to stand in pictures with you. I don't want to be at your conference. I don't want to do none of that. Because all of y'all, like, there's a desire. People who desire to be like tied to that, those people are weird to me. Like they have a desire to be famous and be amongst the people that makes you seen.
Yeah,
that shit is weird.
Yeah, they just ride anybody's coattails. I don't care what the background is.
Like,
it's like I'm jumping on the train. If I can get extra more followers, I'm with that. It's worth it.
It's weird to me, bro. I don't understand. Like, I don't know. I'm rambling, but that was something that, like, hearing that over and over again, and because there's a guy who like worships him that we know, or we know of, and he's always making jokes about it. And I'm like, man, the way you grew up, like why would you worship Dame? Like,
yeah.
Like, why? Like, just because you've had a good year for yourself, now it's like, oh, Dame Dash is right. Everybody's a bum because you're not an entrepreneur. Like, bro, Dame sold crack. So unless you're willing to sell crack, you shouldn't even be championing him like that. Like, he's.
Well, maybe that's the thing. People are willing to sell crack.
I don't think they are, because if they were, then they would.
It may not be literal crack, but it's crack in a different form.
Well,
I think
you're right.
I think they're willing to sell whatever they need to, no matter if it tears down a community or what. It's. I think the real message is, if we're digging deep, it's sell whatever you need to do, and do whatever you need to do to be successful. That's the true message.
Yeah.
That's the true message of what they're really trying to tell you. It's not about crazy entrepreneurship. It's do whatever you can to be successful, no matter if it tears down your community, or if it's not ethical or legal, or it's just do whatever you can to be successful. It's better to be successful than unsuccessful. It doesn't matter how you got there.
Well, I would replace successful with money, because successful is subjective.
Yeah. As long as you make the money.
money's not. Like money is money. So I guess
do whatever you
yeah, I
can to
guess
make
you're
the
right.
money. And that's why people are willing to sell, all these different products when you click in their bio. It's like
But
crack.
that's why
It's
I'm
like crack
like, bro,
menu.
just go. You can make money doing anything. Like, go be a hitman.
You can do anything.
Why would that be out of bounds?
Yeah.
Like, why would
Like,
a
hold on.
hitman be?
Well, that would require actual work. You first of all, you have to beat the person. Like, no one wants to
Not
be that
really.
confrontational. You have to win. You have to be
Good.
skilled. If you're gonna hit them from far away, you still require some skill. You
Yeah,
can't
that's
just
true.
post a link and kill people, kill somebody.
Man, that'd be the day, right? Yo, that's the hitman business. Yo, hitman.
Right.
We
Click the
might have
link
to
in my
open up.
bio.
We might have to open up a company for that. Hitman LLC.
Right. I started this business because I didn't want to sell crack.
You know what? I wish somebody would have that in their bio.
Right.
Like I
Click the
started
link in my bio. At least I'm not selling crack. Oh, it's ridiculous.
Oh man, yo, that's funny. At least
we
I'm not
figured
selling
it out.
crack. I mean, it. I'm glad people aren't selling. Like, I'm happy that people don't have to resort to that. You can find other means, but
there's people that's still selling like drugs. I was just looking at fentanyl is like the big thing now, and the margins on that is crazy.
Yeah, I'm already knowing.
Absolutely crazy. He's talking about like I think he said a kilogram of fentanyl is like $13,000.
This is how you know we don't know nothing about drugs. Like, a kilogram. Like, if we was undercover, like,
You would know.
The one that's like, let me get 2 drugs.
2 drugs, please. We be leaving tips. How much should I tip my drug dealers? Is it 50%? I feel like that's kind of cheap. I tip my drug dealers 20%.
Man,
You gonna play me out here?
Nah, but I heard that too. Even when we were in the hospital, that was one of the drugs when we were there for the baby that they were giving Vita, and I was actually worried about it. I was really worried because I know how
it's supposed to be for pain.
Yeah, the painkillers. Yeah, but it's heroin. The opioids are all heroin.
Right.
But I was really nervous because they gave Vita a button, like a button you can press whenever you wanted more medicine. And she was pressing the shit out of that button, like, and I was getting nervous, like, man, I'm gonna have a drug addict when we get home.
It's scary though. It really is scary.
And it was
so they saying you paying $13,000 for something that can fit inside a glasses container. And it's like it can make 1 million pills. Each pill's like $20. I'm like, that's 20 million. Like, that's a lot of money. I think it was 20 million. I didn't know. It was a lot. And your overhead is probably, I don't know. It was a lot.
Well, Coca Cola is the biggest distributor of cocaine.
And talking about old Coke?
No,
put cocaine in it?
They sell cocaine.
Oh, that sounds like something I don't want to know.
It's medical cocaine, like Novocaine, lidocaine. What do you think that is? It's cocaine.
I don't know. I don't take it.
You never been to the dentist and like they numb your mouth? That's Novocaine.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've been there. I've been to the dentist. I've been there.
It's medical cocaine. They're the largest distributor of it. To my knowledge, they're the largest manufacturer.
That's wild. Yeah, I know that. That's crazy.
Because the drugs exist. They already exist. It's just they're using controlled.
The pharmaceutical industry.
Yeah.
You can either have the corporate version of selling drugs or the street version.
Yeah, so buy Coca Cola stock if you want to buy drugs. If you want to be involved.
You're saying is be an actual pharmacist and not a street pharmacist. Develop your own drug to sell.
Yeah,
Make sure it
man.
passed the FDA.
I'm finna, and tomorrow I'm just buy a bunch of Coke stock.
What I'm saying is be a scientist. Go be a scientist, kids.
You know, man, we heavy with this is like the drug game episode. Like, what is going on? How did this even happen? Like, how did we even get on? Like, what?
Oh,
Yo, man, Siri is listening. Somebody's listening. I don't know nothing.
Yeah, don't sell drugs, kids, unless
Man,
you're a pharmacist, actual pharmacist.
Man, so we gotta change the subject. So yeah, so we were talking about it actually before we got on, but I seen we were talking about that issue in Detroit, and I'm not really familiar with it, but what was that about? Because I seen you want to talk about
I'm not too familiar, but I just looked at it. Basically in Detroit, the residents were basically being overcharged based on their property taxes. So they're basically assessing their values higher than the neighboring cities. In this case, in predominantly black cities, Detroit, obviously, they're basically being overcharged for their tax, the tax on the real estate, as opposed to other neighborhoods. And basically, they're trying to figure out how to get it reassessed. And the state basically said, or city basically said, well, we can't reassess your property tax because we need the money. And I'm like, what?
That's terrible.
So I didn't do like a deep dive into it, so I can't like really speak further on it. But I just thought it was very messed up. Super messed up. It's like they basically like, our budget requires us to continue to overcharge you because we need the money.
Detroit is an interesting place. I've never been there, but just from what I know about, like, just looking at certain things and kind of looking at what's going on over there, like financially, it's an interesting place because there's a lot of outside investment going on right now, but like the infrastructure still isn't there. Like, it's a long ways from being like, sustainable and stable, but there's a ton of money going into there. You know what I mean? And so, specifically in Detroit, there's other places around there that are kind of normal, but in Detroit, man, it's like, they obviously have like poor leadership, because all it takes is is Amazon in Detroit?
I don't know. That was my thought. Like, where's like
why
the employment
why
centers
not
coming from?
Well, it used to be, I mean, it still is kind of like, the motor capital and all that kind of stuff, but I'm like, they should be throwing out all kinds of incentives to bring people these jobs. When I was in Louisiana, they just built the Amazon Center in Carencro, and it's huge. Like, it's huge, bro. That's thousands of jobs.
But I think the city has to lobby for those companies to come there. And I mean, I don't know if they are, if they aren't, but I think people have to really care. They care to want, employers to come and employ their citizens.
Somebody there has to. I'm gonna go. No, I'm gonna make a list. I'm making a list of places I need to go to, and I'm gonna just go. And
it'd be nice to go check it out.
I'm gonna go because I've seen like pictures and videos from people who've been there, and there's parts that look really, really nice. Like, it looks like a dope place.
Yeah.
But when you look at like the economic makeup, it's like, this doesn't even. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like, they have a basketball team. Like, how do you have a basketball team and then all these other things are just falling apart? So it's like, what are people, if all this money, all this outside capital is going there, what is it going, like, what are they buying? Are they buying because it's cash flow and you can cash flow, so they're buying it for a self-fulfilling reason? Or are they buying it because the place is actually, leaning towards a healthy local economy.
I don't know. I know for sure a few years back it felt like people were just trying to get in early, almost just trying to hold on, purchase and hold on to it until it came back. For those reasons, knowing it's a large city center with a whole lot of potential that will eventually come back. But I don't know. I don't know enough about Detroit.
I think we
but
should go.
I know for sure based on the history, if it's not gentrifiable, people usually don't put money into it.
Well, gentrifiable. Here you go using trigger words. It's about to get canceled again. Damn, man. We made it to 15, man. Now it's over. It's a wrap. It's a wrap for us.
When other people get interested in a certain area, the money usually flows in. Unless we're interested ourselves, like
the money is coming from it's coming from other places though. It's not even local. Like it's people from out here, like people from other places. They're just going to Detroit.
Yeah.
So yeah, we back. I had to take a bathroom break, but yeah, I mean, it's I don't know. It's an interesting thing, man. You see a lot of money going in certain places. I just like to know why. I just like to, because especially when it comes to income property, like it's easy to get like, fall in love with cap rates.
Yeah,
if you don't know what's actually going on, it's easy to be like, oh, this is a 14 cap. Like,
right.
let me. This will cash flow forever. You know what I mean? So
yeah, that's just a measure of risk.
Yeah,
the cap rate. So it's the old adage, just boots in the ground, and nothing's changed. You actually have to go out there, and I wouldn't be mad. I wouldn't have a problem going out there and checking it out. I know we have some people who have invested. Not some people, but one person I know of that invested like 6-7 years ago, 8 years ago.
Yeah. He.
I think we're just not looking more into stuff like we should.
I mean, I try
to like on getting California real estate.
I try to pay attention to some degree, not like fully, but I do try. I set Google alerts and stuff to try to just pay attention to like certain things. I even follow like some guys who are like local representatives there, just to be able to, see what they're talking about, what's new. I follow some real estate agents there who happen to all be women,
right.
Black women at that. That's cool.
They just happen to be.
Yeah, they just happen to be women. I just looked at the hashtag and I started following, and what do you know? It was women.
I follow a few like a contractor and investors out there too.
So I mean, we got to put together a tour, like an RBM tour.
Yeah, it'd be a good time for it now while everything's opening up.
Take the show on the road.
Flights are crazy right now, though.
Man, you ain't got to tell me, man. I was just in the airport. Yeah. I just went through that. It was not a pleasant experience.
Yeah.
But yeah, Detroit is one place. Indiana is another place I want to look into more. I have a lot of information on Indiana because I've been tracking that area. Specifically Indianapolis for like 5 or 6 years. North Carolina is another. I just want to, just kind of get out and see where, even in Iowa, like I met a guy who had like 15,000 units in Iowa. And I think there's a certain part of like Des Moines that's like a, kind of like their version of like Silicon Valley. And so there was a lot of money going over there too a couple years ago. And so I just want to know. I just want to be able to kind of, get a glimpse and see what's going on because, the money is the money.
I think it's time. Yeah, for sure. It's time because California is making it harder and harder to be a landlord. And at some point, all your private land is going to just be owned by the government. They don't be able to just tell you what to do with it.
Yeah, I mean that's what it's looking like. That's what people want. Well, that's what people think they want though, because the way it's going now, they feel like it's not working, not realizing it's because of government interference. But that's what people want. They want housing to be free because
And the
housing is
government ran.
It's a right.
Yeah.
So that's what they say. Housing is a right, not a commodity. Right. So that would mean that we just have to pay an extreme amount of taxes to be able to have the government pay for it. So if that's the case, then I'm out. Because this is not China. You know what I mean? Like, but I don't know. We'll see. I definitely think that's something that we should do though. Is kind of just go pop into a few of these places and just see what's going on. See the makeup and do some research while you're there. Spend 3 or 4 days and then I'm out.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with that. Take
the show on the road. So so I think we can kind of wrap it up now.
Wrap it up.
We've been going for a minute. It felt good to kind of be back doing this, get back in the rhythm of things, because even though we only missed like a week, it doesn't feel like it.
Right.
So I will it feels good to get back, in the saddle, as they say.
For sure. We said some things and made some words. Strung some sentences together.
Talked about drugs.
Right.
That was wild. I don't even know how we even. I don't know. I don't want to know.
No. Yeah, I'm not going to be a drug dealer.
No, not at all. I mean, unless you buy Coca Cola stock, then yes, you are a drug dealer.
Right.
So yeah, I want to say, thanks for tapping in with us. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff so we can get the algorithm back on our side, especially since we've been gone for a week. YouTube kind of doesn't really like inconsistency. So, so this week when I post the video, I'm going to be piggybacking off of everybody's tags because we need the views. Right. Which is strange, man, because I'm seeing some of these channels, bro, they're new. Like, they've started not long before us, and they're at like 50,000 subscribers, and I'm like, I need to know what you did.
Yeah, we gotta scam harder.
Is that what it is?
No, maybe we need I don't know, an insight on how this shit really works, the underbelly.
Yeah, because I don't know. I'm not
saying
that
we need to go to YouTube Con. I'll just go to YouTube Con.
When is that?
Got pull up a YouTube Con. Never been there, but I'm like, we're basically YouTubers now, so we can go to YouTube Con.
When is it?
I don't know. I'm sure it's a convention is every year, but I'm sure you rub some elbows with people. There'll be people there on how to grow your channel and all that.
Let me see. I didn't even know they had their own thing.
Yeah, we gotta hit up some kiosks.
Or is it VidCon? Is that what it is?
I think that's it. Yeah, it's VidCon. What is that? I'm almost sure like most of the conventions were delayed last year, so we should start seeing more come up. Maybe 2022.
Oh, it says Anaheim Convention Center. It's in October.
Oh, end of this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta
see that, but then you got to be around a bunch of kids, man. Like,
that's the people who know what to do. They know how to do this.
I'm just being a grumpy old man.
Right, exactly.
I just don't want anybody to start dancing in front of me. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like you go up to them and it's like, oh, this is a thing, and then they start pop locking or something on TikTok.
Right.
Like, I don't,
Like, excuse me, young teen, just have a question, not in a weird way. How do I grow my YouTube channel?
I'm trying to think about what movie that is. That reminds me of it was a movie with like Vince Vaughn and what's the guy's name? Luke Wilson, I think,
Uh-huh.
and they worked at Google. They were like interns at Google or something.
I do
But
remember that movie.
they were like old, and all the kids were young, and they were trying to keep up with them. That's how I
Yeah.
feel. Like, you know,
I wonder how
anytime I
Google got
open
that
TikTok,
sponsorship. That's a hell of a sponsorship. A whole movie about us, our company.
yeah, man, that's definitely us. So we going to VidCon. So that's out here.
That's perfect.
And then let's see. There's a on another note.
How
There's
much are
like
the
a
tickets?
I don't know. I just had it up right now. Let me see. How much is it to go to VidCon? So a single day ticket is $45 for it says creator track for influencers. The $130 3-day pass includes entry into both creator chat and meet and greet lotteries.
I don't know.
So
I don't know. I felt something about the meet and greet. Like,
I
but I think that's what you want.
I don't want to meet nobody. I don't want to meet y'all. Like, just tell me how to work it. Like, I don't want to be your friend. Like,
That's funny.
let
Nah, I
me
mean, it's
see.
like old school networking. You always meet real cool people in person, and that's the thing. Offline is different from online. So
Yeah, I guess so. I guess I don't know. I guess
all
we
right,
gotta.
we'll go ahead and
I
wrap
guess
this
we
up.
gotta go.
We always on here making our next plan. So
Yeah.
they like, okay, all right, guys, we get it.
We I guess I don't know. I guess we gotta go to these things, and
Right.
I don't know. We'll figure it out.
This is gonna be like I'm dragging you outside, all like just like old times. Hey
Yeah,
man, we going
man.
outside.
But why?
Why do I have to go? Do I have to really go? Do I have to really go outside? Like, yeah,
Yeah.
we do.
Yeah. So yeah. So anything else, man? Anything else to add?
No, I think that's it. And next week we'll add more. Come
All
back,
right.
come back next week, and I'll add some more.
And we will be on time because we've been late.
Yeah, we back in the
Uh,
roll. We had a lot of things moving these last 2 weeks. So
yeah. So once again, thank you guys for hanging out with us. Like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see y'all next week.
yes, thank you. Later.